Hey guys, thank you so much for shuffling on over here to Two Awesome Men. Because of time and because of laziness, a mixture of the two, we're gonna go and do this thing where I think we've done it before, where we like just talk about like several different things.
Yeah,
you know?
we haven't named this section yet.
Yeah,
this segment.
yeah. And so unfortunately, I think when we last talked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we said whenever this show's all up, we are going to do a full video. We're going to do a video over the whole season. It's not going to happen. I mean, as of now, who knows? Maybe one day we'll want to pick it up and maybe do a whole thing on it. But as of now, we're just going to do this real quick one. We're going to talk about, and just so you know, if you don't want to watch all of every single review, if you want to know when we talk about Falcon the Winter Soldier, you go to this time. If you want to know when we talk about Invincible, go to this time. If you want to know what we have to say about Army of the Dead, go to this time. Right?
Yeah, and we'll also put that in the comments so that you can just click on the little timestamp.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to mention that these are going to be kind of our shortened, kind of like what Marcus said about Falcon the Winter Soldier. But for all of these, they're going to be kind of our shortened opinions, just because we don't want this movie or this video to be like 40 minutes long, which hopefully it won't be.
Yeah, and we'll try to get into as much detail as we can within reason. You know, but unfortunately, as time permits, because just so you know, just a reminder, we do. I mean, I know a lot of people do, but we do have fully full-time jobs. Full-time jobs.
Not part full-time.
Yeah, we do have full-time jobs. Mine even goes into some overtime, and sometimes it's hard to do stuff. So yeah, we're just gonna get into this, and here we go. And also, just a side note, we forgot to put on the Eternity's Lights just a few minutes ago, so we just now did that. But also, we've talked about this before, but I just want to bring it up at the beginning of the video. My cousin drew this picture for us. She draws a lot of picture. She draws a lot of pictures. If you're interested in looking her up on Instagram, it's Dewdrop Fox, but it's a lot of other things other than that. So I'll just read it off. But it's XX Dewdrop Fox, and the Fox with 2 X's. So that's on Instagram if you want to go follow her. Anyways.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the second installment in the 4th phase of the MCU, and it's the second Disney Plus show that Marvel has had on, Disney Plus. And I will say one thing that actually really surprised me going into this is just how character-driven the show was. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Captain America movies have all been really good and really character-driven.
Yeah, especially the last 2 of them.
Yeah, but I honestly wasn't expecting for the show to be so character-driven.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially like the first episode, it was just a bunch of introductions. I mean, there's 2 pretty good action scenes in the episode, but the majority of it was really character-driven. Mm-hmm. And even the second to last episode of the whole show was just a very character episode.
Yeah, and honestly, the character aspect of the show is where the show shines. Shoe shines. Is where the shoe shines. Is where the show shines. And also, just in general, the action of this movie is really fantastic. And I want to bring this up. Okay, a lot of people don't want to say it. A lot of people talk about this, and honestly, I feel like the hatred for him is very cringy. John Walker, I don't think he's that bad of a character. I actually liked his character. I don't think he's some fantastic guy. I don't think I'd care to hang out with him, but like he, from a character perspective, looking at him, he's a very interesting character. And he's really not that terrible.
Yeah.
So awful of a human that people want to display him as.
Right. It's one of those things where if like the show was centered around him and he was a protagonist, I don't think people would have hated him that much.
Yeah.
But it's just the fact that he's a newcomer and that he's not someone we've been with throughout the MCU.
Yeah.
Throughout the rest of the movies.
Yeah, exactly. I've even tried seeing like a picture comparing him to like Homelander.
Yeah, and Omni-Man.
Yeah, and Omni-Man. And it's like that's just it's honestly cringy, the hatred for his character. He's a really interesting character. Wyatt Russell is fantastic as that role. He brings so much depth to that character that that otherwise wouldn't have been there with a lower actor. And honestly, the only thing I've ever seen him really in is 22 Jump Street.
Right.
So like seeing him in this,
and also that one episode of Black Mirror.
I mean, I don't know about. Oh yeah, I saw that
with the video game one.
Yeah, and other than that, I don't think I would have gotten to know his acting well. He does fantastic in the movie. Another thing that people have issues with in the show is the
Flag Smashers.
The Flag Smashers. And I'll say this. I'll say maybe They could have been more interesting. I might agree with that a little bit. There's aspects of them that could have been done a little better. But honestly, in my opinion, I didn't think they're that bad of villains. There was there was something interesting about them not being really evil villains.
Yeah, I do want to bring up the one interesting thing. Well, the one intriguing thing about this show is that there was supposed to be a storyline, which they haven't fully come out and confirmed it, but they pretty much confirmed it without actually saying that there was supposed to be a storyline in the show about a pandemic that took place during the 5 years when after Thanos snapped and when people were brought back. There's a pandemic, so that's why it was a big deal. It was still a big deal in the show as it was, but it was an even bigger deal originally because the vaccines weren't getting handed out to people in these resettlement homes. So it made their motives even more understanding or understandable. But still, with that storyline taken out and they did reshoots and all that, even with it gone, I still feel like they were interesting enough. I'm not going to say they're like one of my favorite villains in the MCU, but they were at least interesting. And another one of my favorite parts about the show is just how they earned Sam Wilson becoming Captain America was. I'm not going to say that it wouldn't have felt earned if he just was Captain America at the beginning of the show, but it almost made it impossible for you not to feel like it was completely earned, him taking over the mantle of Captain America.
Yeah. Also, Bucky's character, he's really good, and Sebastian Stan plays him fantastically. And honestly, like these two characters, I mean, I'm not going to act like I didn't like them before, but these two characters became a lot more likable to me than I thought they would become.
Yeah. Also, Zemo, surprisingly, he became, he's already one of my favorite villains, but he went even higher in my opinion.
We are going to say that Falcon and the Winter Soldier is 84% awesome. Next up, we're going to talk about Invincible, and if you haven't seen this show, I'll say one thing and then you can skip over. I just want you, if you haven't seen the show, just listen to this and then you can skip off, right? And that is, if you stop watching in episode 1 in the middle of episode 1, because I've heard people who have done that before, finish it.
Yeah.
Like straight up finish it. You won't be like you will not regret finishing that episode, and it'll make you finish the entire series.
Yeah, because like even me when I was watching the first episode for the first time, I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like Sky High, kind of a little, I won't say super cheesy, but it wasn't like super anything that got me super hooked into the first episode. Yeah. But then after the title card happened, the scene that happened after the title card just got me hooked immediately.
Yeah, exactly. And
extremely.
And if you want to skip over this and go to the next one, you can just go to this time right here. Anyways, we're going to go to the spoilers with this. This show is freaking insane. And in all honesty, one of my favorite things about this show is, well, like we were pretty much saying in the beginning, the very beginning kind of pulls off this Saturday morning cartoon kind of feel, really well. And so it's not the first episode isn't that bad. It's just that whenever you hear all the hype about it, and then you go watch, you're like, what is this?
Yeah, right.
It's just a Saturday morning cartoon. And obviously, there's like a few cuss words in that first episode, but very minimal ones, I
don't think they said a bomb or anything in the first episode.
Yeah. And by the end of the episode, obviously, is whenever it randomly rips you out of that idea, that world, and understanding something else, and understanding that Omni-Man's a pretty bad person, a pretty bad character, Yeah. Well, not a bad character.
Bad character. That's terrible.
He's a really bad person. But I love that aspect of it, and some people may not, but I love the aspect that the first episode kind of tricks you and makes you think that it's just going to be some regular cartoon. It brings you into the world and seeing these heroes as that world sees them.
Right.
And then randomly out of nowhere, it just surprises you at the end of the episode.
Yeah, then after that episode, it was like all bets are off because they had a bunch of gore. Even the second episode was just a whole bunch of gore. They settled. I mean, they still kept it contained, how much gore and how much language they use. It didn't feel like they threw it in there just to throw it in there after the first episode.
Yeah.
It felt really expertly done. And I feel like even after the first episode, they still were able to manage to blend that cheesy superhero anime show feel in with the adult violence and language and themes and stuff.
Sweetheart, how many times have I told you, don't say and stuff. Just say, Dad, there are whores here.
Yeah, they even had one of those episodes where like, the main character decides to go off somewhere else, and there happens to be a villain there.
Right.
You know, kind of that cheesy kind of thing, because there's like the episode where he goes to college, and there happens to be that villain there,
right.
You know, like a major villain.
Yeah.
You know, and I know, like, at one point I'm like, that's a little weird, but you have to understand what they're going for. You know, also it's a comic book too, but you have to understand they're going for that they're trying to keep that Saturday morning aspect, that cheesy aspect. But it still does have a grounded feel to it. I love that this show really pulls off the idea. We say pull off a lot, but it really shows like how dangerous it is living in those worlds. I mean, sure, when you watch Avengers movies and stuff like that, you understand that people are probably dying, right? But that whenever you're watching, you're not really paying attention to that. It doesn't hit you.
Yeah, they don't really show it.
Yeah, it doesn't hit you
front.
Emotionally in any way, you know?
Yeah.
But in this show, it shows it. It shows it completely. It shows the idea that superpowered people like this, even good ones, have the ability, have the capability to even accidentally hurt someone. There's that part whenever he like picks up that old woman and crashes into the ground. Yeah, you know, like,
right.
and even if like trying to help, and it's a dangerous world. You know, the idea of you have this stuff will happen, and you have to let it go. You know,
right.
And then I just want to talk about that last episode real fast. That last episode is one of the most violent things I've ever seen in my life, and I loved it because it felt real. Yeah, like how that would actually happen.
Right. Yeah, I saw in the comments, because I've been watching the scenes over again on YouTube. Yeah, and I saw a comment where someone was like what did you expect? Mark was still new with his powers, and somebody replied, just joking sarcastically, we expected him to have flashbacks of friendship that helped him overpower 500 years of training that Omni-Man had. Yeah, and that's what I loved about it, was that even though it was tough to see Mark get beaten so bad, especially even earlier in the season, he got beat up a whole bunch. Yeah. But I feel like it's going to make it feel that much more satisfying in the later seasons. Yeah. When he finally comes to grips with his powers.
Also, I want to bring up one thing I loved about that last episode. Is like there's a scene whenever Mark is trying to save this woman and her kid from this building that's falling down. And like in a normal thing, in a normal movie, TV show where this is happening, they might have them save the mom and the kid before this building falls. Right. And to make it feel like there's some form of success. They got someone. But when you really think about it, they got two people out of like thousands of people who died. You know, and it's still sad that those people died, but like, you know, more realistically, you know, it wouldn't really happen that way. Right. More than likely, all those people would die in that scenario.
Yeah. And before we just finish talking about it, I do want to bring up the voice acting. Steven Yeun, obviously we love. He's from The Walking Dead. He played Glenn. And also, just a side note, that the person who wrote the comic books that this is based on, comic books, graphic novel, I'm not sure which one it is, but Robert Kirkman, he also wrote the comic book that The Walking Dead is based on. Yeah. So it's pretty cool that he brought Steven Yeun back into the show. And also a lot of The Walking Dead actors are in the show, although they don't last that long, because all the Guardians of the Galaxy, all the Guardians of the Globe characters are Walking Dead actors. But yeah, they kind of get killed off in the first episode. But it's cool that he brought them back. Yeah, especially Steven Yeun. But then also, obviously, the one I really want to talk about is J.K. Simmons, who's freaking amazing.
Yeah, dude, he is so perfect. You know what's hilarious is I remember. Well, when I first watched it, we were like, "Oh, it's funny. He looks like J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man." But that's the way his character looks like in the comics. It's just funny that they did that. You know, right. Probably like the casual viewers and say, "Oh, look, they based him off of J. Jonah Jameson, Spider-Man." No, like, that's how he looks in the comic books.
Right. You know? And just one more thing about the show before we move on is that the animation is just so amazing in the show. Because like fight scenes in animation, I mean, they're usually pretty decent, but they're usually not this great. I usually don't get hooked into the action scenes this much in anime shows. Yeah, you can really feel all the punches that are being thrown, and it's just really great. We're going to say that Invincible Season 1 is 90% awesome. And finally, we have Army of the Dead, which is Zack Snyder's new movie. It's a zombie movie. It has a pretty entertaining storyline. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's pretty entertaining. But one thing I do really want to bring out about this movie is just the design for the zombies and the makeup. and just the overall choreography, just with the zombie scenes, the zombie attack scenes were just pretty great in my opinion.
Yeah, the zombies are honestly terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of moments in this movie that are really creepy. But, like, I'll start off by saying, and pretty much kind of what you're saying, but, like, if you're walking in this movie wanting a pure zombie movie that's just all about kills, all about the gore, this is the place for you. Like, this movie all the way through is just extremely entertaining. I had, like, so much fun with this movie. In terms of action, in terms of gore, in terms of kills, I do think this is my favorite zombie movie I've seen. I'm not going to act like I've seen all the classic zombie movies, so don't kill me about that. But I will say, in terms of those things, this is one of the best zombie movies I've seen, just in terms of those things. Now, I do want to move on to the negative aspects. And also, we're going to go ahead and go into spoilers real quick. So if you want to skip over that and go to our grades, you can go to this time right here. But the whole ending section, whenever, like, the guy ends up being, like, he goes in the plane, he ends up being a zombie, and it ends with pretty much knowing that the world's going to end now because everybody's going to be a zombie. You know? And that kind of aspect is, like, I would have preferred it better if it wasn't there, but it didn't knock off a lot of points for me, you know, because it's a lot of movies kind of do that thing.
Right.
But where this movie really gets hurt for me is the ending of the main story. Because throughout this entire movie, they're trying to do this really huge heist of this. I think it's like a hotel, or like a casino. I think it's a casino. And so Dave Bautista's daughter goes in there because she wants to save this girl. What's been really cool about this movie, and I think you only brought it up, is like if they didn't get the money, but they got the girl,
right?
They saved the girl, and I'm not positive they didn't show her, but I feel like the girl they tried to save died.
Yeah,
because the only person who seems like lived was a daughter, and at that point it's like, well, what was the point?
Yeah, of the movie.
Yeah,
because like like you said, it would have been kind of cool if like the whole point of the movie, the whole mission of this movie was for them to go into Las Vegas and retrieve the millions of dollars that that one guy hired them to get. But it would have been cool if that mission completely failed, but they were able to do this other mission that was equally, if not more important, which saved this woman's life that was in there.
Yeah, and so that was a big issue with me. Also, I have a huge issue with the final girl cliche. I've always have. I don't understand why it's used in so many horror movies, so many zombie movies, so many, just all the horror subgenre movies. Why the final girl is used. I don't see a point of it. I don't see how it's interesting. And in fact, in this movie, it can make things a little less interesting.
Yeah, and also just one thing I do want to say is that I feel like I know you disagreed about this. We've talked about this a little bit. I feel like it could have been cut down a little bit. Runtime, it's about 2.5 hours long. I feel like it could have been cut down a little bit. I don't think it was like a major negative for me, but I did feel the runtime a little bit with this movie. Also, just one more negative I do want to bring out is that they do try to have some emotional scenes throughout the movie, sprinkled throughout the movie, and I'm not gonna bash them for doing that because I enjoy when movies do that or put that in there at least. But I feel like a lot of it was like kind of on the nose and kind of really basic, and I really wouldn't have minded that much. But whenever they try to do these emotional scenes, they kind of like dragged on a little bit. They were kind of longer scenes, and I feel like they could have been cut down a little bit for how, I won't say lazy, but how like not super great those emotional scenes were.
Yeah, exactly. I'll say the final one between the daughter and Dave Bautista, I did like.
Yeah.
But there's, like I said, that also gets ruined. A lot of that stuff gets ruined with the final girl cliche. Because you have, they try to pick up some with Dave Bautista and that one girl gets killed really randomly out of nowhere. Yeah. I'm not really sure if I hate that yet. But I think it's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say. There's a part of me, I know there's a part of me that didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I think it all has to do with that. But I think my phone. Who's texting me? I'm too popular. But I think the one thing that really brings this movie down quite a bit is just that ending scene. It makes this movie feel like it's kind of like worthless, not worthless, but like it makes it feel like everything we just watched was done for nothing. Because the only thing that happened was everybody died except for the girl.
Right.
Everybody.
Who wasn't even supposed to be in there.
Who wasn't even supposed to be in there.
Supposed to go on there. She wasn't even part of the team. She just forced her way in there.
Yeah, and it seems like, and I'm pretty sure the reason why she went in there all those people died. There was 3 people in there.
Yeah.
All 3 of those people died, including the main girl that she went in there to get. And it's like at the end of the movie, it's like, well, why'd y'all even go in there? I know why y'all went in there, but there needed to be some point of this movie. You know?
Yeah.
There needed to be some point, and I think it ended without a point. But to me, the action sequences really made up for a lot of for a decent amount of my points. And honestly, I could see myself I could watch this movie again and have a whole lot of fun with it. It's just that one scene I think took away a decent amount. But like I said, I would recommend you go see this if you're into zombies, if you're into kills. This movie is a blast. I absolutely love everything whenever they're inside of that casino. In Las Vegas, it's absolutely it's really fun. And
just 2 more things I want to bring up. One, the actress who played the helicopter pilot. I don't know the actress's name.
Tig Notaro.
Yeah. I don't know if y'all know this, but she was completely green screened into this movie because this movie was originally filmed with what's his name, Chris D'Elia.
Yeah.
Like he completely filmed the movie with the rest of the actors and everything, but then those allegations came up last year about him trying to get with the underage girls. Came out, so Zack Snyder brought in this. What's her name? Sorry,
Tig Notaro.
Yeah, he brought her in and completely green screen. She filmed in front of a green screen, and they put her into this movie. It's kind of like the Kevin Spacey, Christopher Plummer situation with all the money in the world. And then the last thing is that the zombie tiger that's in this movie that was in the trailer, the CGI on that is some of the best CGI I've seen. I know they used a real tiger in some scenes, so I don't know which scenes was CGI and which ones was the real tiger. But it was just mind-blowing, especially there's one scene where he absolutely mauls a guy. That it was just fantastic.
Also, for the most part, the acting is really good in the movie. Dave Bautista, I hadn't really seen him do a lot of like really big acting.
The most like actual dramatic acting I've seen him in is Blade Runner 2049, but he only had like one scene in that movie.
Exactly. But his acting is really good, and overall, all the acting is really good. His daughter does really well. All the characters are really great. I loved all the characters. What's his name? Dillahunt. Is it Greg Dillahunt, the guy from Raising Hope and Fear of the Walking Dead?
And Looper.
Something Dillahunt.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Hopefully that doesn't discredit us for not knowing all these actors' names, but we knew what he was on. Yeah, exactly. He does really well too. I would like to see him more stuff, and because I know he's in Fear the Walking Dead, but I haven't watched that show. But
Brittany watches it.
Yeah, she watches it. I do also want to say that Zack Snyder was very ambitious with this film. He did a lot of work in this movie. Yeah. He was the director. I can't remember everything he did for this movie, but one of the things that really surprised me when I was watching the credits was that he was the director of photography, the cinematographer.
Right.
Which is crazy. I'm like, whoa, he's doing everything in this movie.
Yeah, honestly, Zack Snyder, just as a person, I haven't seen that many interviews with him, but all the interviews I have seen with him, he just seems like a really chill guy. He interacts with his fans a lot, which is really cool. I think a lot of people hate him for his DC movies, but I feel like he doesn't deserve that much hate.
Yeah. And also, I think it's cool he used another Richard Cheese song in this movie. I don't know if you've seen Dawn of the Dead, but in Dawn of the Dead, he used a Richard Cheese song as well. Yeah, so I guess he uses Richard Cheese songs.
Oh, is he the one who sang Viva Las Vegas at the beginning of the
I'm pretty sure that was. I didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure.
I mean, now that you mention it, it did sound like him.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of turned into someone else singing it. I think it started off as that, and then it became more dramatic. Someone else was singing it. But overall, I would recommend y'all go and watch this movie if y'all do have a fun time with zombies and just want to walk in there just to see that. It's a really fun time. I'm gonna say Army of the Dead is 75% awesome.
And I'm going to say that Army of the Dead is 68% awesome.
Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, comment and let us know what you thought about this video, what you thought about each of the movies, and how we talked about them, if you agree, disagree, whatever.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we also... Yeah, we're ashamed to admit it, but we created a TikTok for our channel.
Which all of our subscribers lost. They're all gone.
Yeah, we feel like it would help us gain more traction. And it actually kind of has been kind of fun posting our clips from our videos onto there.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, I've already seen that at least one of the people over there subscribed over here.
Yeah,
so.
It's worked in the week we've had it. But they're all at 2 Awesome Men.
And as always, thank you so much for watching, and you will see us later.